So this Sunday, the 3-7 Jacksonville Jaguars will travel up to Buffalo to face on the also 3-7 Buffalo Bills in kind of an AFC bottom feeder kind of roundup here. So it's going to be cold up there in Buffalo. There are a few different things that we can discuss about this little matchup we got going on. And to help me break down this game, I brought in Joe from Believers Talks. We're going to introduce him right after the intro. All right, guys, so joining me to help me preview this Bills-Jaguars matchup, I brought in Joe from Believers Talk. Joe, how you doing, man?
Doing good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm ready to break down this matchup between two of kind of the lower-tier teams in the AFC, but I'll go ahead and get into this a little bit. So, I got to ask you, man, the Bills, they made the playoffs last year the first time in I don't know how long, and then now they're kind of dwindling at the bottom in a way. Like, what would you say happened between last year's success versus this year?
Yeah, obviously this game has a lot less mustard to it than last year's game, right? Not as important, but I've been saying for a while. I feel like Coach McDermott and Brandon Beane, our GM, made a big mistake at the end of last season. I think at the end of last season, right as soon as we lost the Jaguars in playoff game, they had like this mindset of, hey, here's what we're doing this offseason. Like they had a plan. And then things happened in the offseason that we weren't expecting. You talk about Eric Wood forced to retire. You talk about Richie Incognito with his situation, with his mental health forced to retire. And that kind of put us behind the eight ball with the offensive line. And then all of a sudden, they stuck to their original course and did not address these issues. And then it just compiled into a bigger thing. They got their quarterback they wanted, but now you're talking about, we've used 4 quarterbacks now this season. So it's kind of, there's no team in the league where if you say, hey, we used 4 quarterbacks, that would say, hey, we're having a good season. I just doubt that's going to happen. So a little mix of both, where it's the decisions made by Coach McDermott and Brandon Beane, and then also the injuries plaguing us a little bit. And Jacksonville, about that a lot this season too. So
I want to ask you, we're several years removed from it now, so Jaguar fans don't really think of it much, but I remember the Bills fans, they're not too big of fans of Doug Marrone. So is there still some, little bit of grudge being held against Doug Marrone this matchup, or is it kind of too far away from the situation?
I actually believe there is still some animosity, not me personally, towards Doug Marrone. The situation's a little different when you look at like Buffalo. It wasn't just the coach leaving. Like the Doug Marrone used something in his contract that stated if Ralph Wilson would die during your stay in Buffalo, then you have the option to leave. I believe, I'm sure that it was worded differently than that, but that's basically the gist of it. And so for our owner, the creator basically of the Buffalo Bills, to pass away, and it, as a Bills nation, it really brought us down. And then to see our coach leave, and Doug Marrone led us to our first winning season in about 10 years at that point. We went 9-7, just missed the playoffs. And then he just left town to become, I think it was the QB coach or something like that first before he became head coach. And that kind of rubbed people the wrong way.
So I got to ask you, man, one thing about teams around the league is when they draft a young quarterback, there's a lot of eyes on them. And there have been 5 first-round quarterbacks in 2017 that were drafted in 2018 after really being called the year of the quarterback. But Josh Allen, I know he's missed a few games, but how would you evaluate him so far as an NFL quarterback?
Yeah, I say this all the time in the games that Josh Allen has started and finished, the Bills are actually 2-2. And the game he got hurt against the Texans, we were right there when he got hurt until Nathan Peterman, of course, did a pick 6. So I actually think that Josh Allen is probably if not the best, the second best. I'm between him and Baker Mayfield as far as who's the best quarterback so far out of the draft, out of at least the first round of the quarterbacks we've seen. I really like a lot of things he's doing. There are some, and a lot of the mistakes he's making seem like they're correctable. He has 5 interceptions this year in 5 games, but a lot of them were throws where he was throwing it across his body, using his arm strength maybe a little bit too much. And again, you have to go back to our receiving core too, which isn't that great, probably one of the lowest in the league. So what does he have to work with? I think for what he has to work with, new offensive coordinator as well, I actually think he's doing pretty well. But like you said, I mean, it's been less than 5 games really that we've got to see him. So we'll see the production in his final 6 games to see how he does.
And what are some things that maybe the Bills do well? What are some things you guys don't do well? And like, how do you really feel like you match up against the Jaguars this Sunday?
I think one thing that when we do it well. We run the ball well. In our 3 victories, each victory we've ran the ball more than 35 times. And in our 7 losses, each one of them, and now some of them, like the first week, we lost 47-3. You abandoned the run pretty much immediately. But we haven't even ran the ball over 30 times. So, there's a slight difference there. So I believe when we run the ball, we do pretty well, and about Chris Ivory, he's actually done really well for us this season. And so I think we need to run the ball more to be effective. And that's the only way I think we can beat Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville allows over 100 yards a game rushing. So I think we definitely need to run the ball against this team to think that we have a chance to win.
How do you think the Bills come out with a victory this game?
I think this game will tell us a lot about Jacksonville, actually. They come off one of their worst losses of the season. Everyone thought they were going to win. So will the Jacksonville team be pumped up, be a little pissed off that they lost that game and come up to Buffalo? And because I think they have the talent to do that and come in and kind of just push us around? Or will they be dejected because of the way they lost this past Sunday and go up to Buffalo a little depressed and, put up a bad game again against the Bills? I'm hoping, obviously, that's the latter of those, but I do think Jacksonville has more talent to beat us. And so I do think Jacksonville will come out, especially Leonard Fournette being back. I'm not sure how we're going to stop him. But yeah, I think Jacksonville still has the talent to beat us.
So Joe, really appreciate you for joining the video, man. If you guys haven't already, man, go subscribe to Believers Talk. He goes live all the time. He gives you some great, Bills coverage, and it's a good channel to follow, man. So definitely be sure to hit the subscribe button for him. Check out his video collaboration with me on that channel. Well, he actually interviews me, so we'll switch roles a little bit. So guys, definitely be sure to subscribe. And Joe, thanks so much for joining.
Hey, thanks a lot, man. Thanks for having me. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving, and thank you guys for watching. I hope you all had a great Thanksgiving. So thanks again.
So huge shout out to Joe from Believers Talk for coming on here and helping me break down the Bills side of things. Now we'll look at the Jaguars side. Now the Jaguars are currently on a 6-game losing streak. It's not a good situation now for the Jaguars. So the Jaguars are desperately trying to break this streak, and we are going up against a Buffalo Bills team that is also 3-7, and the Jaguars probably have a better roster than. So this is a game that we gotta win. I mean, I'm not trying to say that we have to win this game because of some kind of playoff run that we're gonna have. Look, we're not. The playoffs are a dead cause. And let me know what you guys think. Are you guys gonna be cheering for the Jaguars to win this game, or are you going to be more so lobbying for draft position? I'm interested to get a pulse of the fan base, but for now we will go ahead and break down ways to win this. Now the Jaguars, to win this, man, we've got to be able to establish the run game. It's going to be cold there. We established the run game pretty well last game until we just decided to run it every play and not even try to pass it. So really the Jaguars, they need to be able to establish a run game and gain some kind of early lead. Now, also, the defense is going to have to play well. The Bills have a pretty good rushing attack. They want to be able to run the ball well. They got good players like Deshaun McCoy. Even our boy Chris Ivory is doing pretty well over there for the Bills. So, really, to be able to stop their run and really force Josh Allen to throw the ball. Josh Allen is playing his first game after missing about 4 different games, so he's coming back from an elbow injury. He's going to be rusty. He's going against a very, very tough defense. Of course, our defensive line hasn't necessarily been getting home on the pass rush, but our secondary held up really well last game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and Jalen Ramsey is going to be motivated this game because he hates Josh Allen, and it'll be a fun little matchup and see if the Jaguars can somehow pull out this victory. So it'll be interesting this game just to see which Bills team decides to show up. The Bills are a lot like the Titans in my opinion. They're a team that it's very hard to predict because one game they will go out and look terrific and put up a bunch of points and whatnot. Then the next week they will be total duds. And the Bills are coming off a game where of course they're just coming off a bye week, but the week before they started Matt Barkley and they totally tore apart the New York Jets. So I'm interested to see what kind of team shows up. I'll be live streaming this game, so definitely come in and join me. And, you know, it's one of those games where I love to win. You know, if we win, then it always feels good winning. But if we lose, then it's whatever, because we're setting ourselves up for a better draft spot, because that's the state of that the franchise is at right now. 6 games left to play in a regular season, and we're already basically out of freaking playoff contention. So whatever. Now that kind of ends this recap video. Leave it a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Shout out to Joe from Believers Talk for coming on here and help me break down this game as well. And I will see you guys probably Sunday.